So, Canto 4, Chapter 1, secondary creation, discussion of secondary creation will continue. So, we welcome all of you once again. Maitreya Vacha Manastu Shatarupaya Tishra Kanya Sajangire Akute Devahuti Cha Prasute iti Vishrutaha. What? Maitreya Vacha, the great sage Maitreya said, Manhotu of Svayambhuva Manu, Shatrupaya, and his wife Shatrupa, Tishra, three, Kanyacha, daughters also, Jagnire, gave birth, Akuti, named Akuti, Devahuti, named Devahuti, Cha, also, Prasuti, named Prasuti, Iti, thus, Vishrutaha, well known. Translation purport by His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. So I'm intentionally reading this whole purport because Prabhupada gives a whole summary of the fourth canto. So I thought we'll begin with that. Everything is going fine? Are you planning to show verses? All right. Sri Maitreya said, Swayambhuva Manu begot three daughters and his wife Satarupa, and their names were Akuti, Devahuti, and Prasuti. So Devahuti has been already discussed about her life in the third canto, her marriage with Kadama Muni, her 9 daughters, and her son Kapiladev. That discussion have already happened. Now this chapter will talk about the remaining 2 daughters of Swayambhuva Manu, Akuti and Prasuti. And why are we talking about it? I'll just give an introduction in a short while. Let's take a look at the purports. So, very interesting. In the first paragraph, Prabhupada offered respects, expresses gratitude that a huge task has been accomplished, wherein by the blessing of my spiritual master, I have been able to complete translation of the 3 cantos. And may the blessing of my spiritual master continue so that I can work on 4th canto. That's the idea in the first paragraph. First of all, let us offer respectful obeisance to our spiritual master. Get me a stand, book stand. Om Vishnupad Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada, by whose order I am engaged in this Herculean task of writing commentary on the Srimad Bhagavatam as the Bhaktivedanta purports. By his grace, we have finished 3 cantos already, and we are just trying to begin the 4th canto. By His divine grace, let us offer our respectful obeisance to Lord Chaitanya, who began this Krishna consciousness movement. 4.1 411 411. Mother Medhavni, you can share it. Prabhu, you leave it.
Which one? Yes.
All right. By His grace, let us offer our respectful obeisances unto Lord Chaitanya, who began this Krishna consciousness movement of Bhagavad Dharma 500 years ago. And through His grace, let us offer obeisances to the 6 Goswamis. And then let us offer obeisances to Shri Radha and Krishna, the spiritual couple who enjoy eternally in Vrindavan with their cowherd boys and damsels in Vrajabhumi. It's like a Mangalacharan. Let us offer respectful obeisances to all the devotees and eternal servitors of the Supreme Lord. So like this first paragraph, Prabhupada offered respects. Now in the second paragraph, Prabhupada will talk about the overview of this 4th canto. 4th canto has some very exciting stories, historical narrations, beginning with Daksha and Lord Shiva, or Daksha versus Lord Shiva. That goes for several chapters. Then we have Dhruva Maharaj Kahani. Then we have King Vena, and then Prithu Maharaj. And finally, the fourth canto concludes with Prachetas. Some very exciting stuff, interesting stories. In the fourth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there were 31 chapters, and all these chapters describe the secondary creation by Brahma and the Manus. The Supreme Lord himself does the real creation by agitating his material energy, and then by his order, Brahma, the first living creature in this universe, attempts to create the different planetary systems and their inhabitants, expanding the population through his progeny like Manu and other progenitors or living entities, who work perpetually under the order of the Supreme Lord. In the first chapter of this fourth canto, there are descriptions of the three daughters Svayambhuva Manu and their descendants. The next chapter describes the sacrifice performed by King Daksha and how it was spoiled. Thereafter, the activities of Dhruva Maharaj, and then in 11 chapters, the story of Prithu Maharaj, and in the last 8 chapters, activities of the Prachetas. Now, coming back to the third canto. As described in the first verse of this chapter, Svayambhuva Manu had 3 daughters named Akuti, Devahuti, and Prasuti. Of these 3 daughters, one daughter Devahuti had already been described along with her husband Kadam Muni and her son Kapila Muni. In this chapter, the descendants of the first daughter, Akuti, will specifically be described. Svayambhuva Manu was the son of Brahma. Brahma had many other sons, but Manu's name is specifically mentioned first because he was a great devotee of the Lord. In this verse, there is also the word Cha, indicating that besides 3 daughters mentioned, Svayambhuva Manu also had 2 sons. What are the names? Uttanapat and Priyavrat, or rather Priyavrat and Uttanapat. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhisham Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Chuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavasa Shri Rupam Sagrajata Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parishana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Sha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachaline Nirvisheshishanivadi Pashatadi Shatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gautase Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripe Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Krishna. So welcome everyone once again for our Bhagavat Live program, where as a part of this program we are kind of conducting an overview of the chapters of Srimad Bhagavatam. I believe when we started this program, we kept first 3 cantos as the objective of that program. Now we are extending that objective. We are taking 4th canto onwards. So we'll take a look at the first chapter here. So just to give you a little recap, what's going on here. and what's going to happen in this chapter, so you are able to see the connection and get a little understanding of what's happening here. So the first verse of this chapter begins with talking about the three daughters of Svayambhuva Manu. Maitri Muni is speaking that. The reason for which he's speaking is in the third canto, Sarga has already been explained, universal form of the Lord and all that. And now the second subject matter of Srimad Bhagavatam, Atra Sarga Visarga Sthanam Poshanam Utaya. Like that, the 10th subject matter. Now the discussion on the Visarga, which is secondary creation, is happening. Secondary creation discussion began with third canto itself, the later part, where Svayambhuva Manu's life, how Svayambhuva Manu and Satarupa were born from the body of Brahma. They got three daughters and two sons, and Devahuti's marriage was discussed in the third canto. So chronologically, Akuti is the eldest daughter. Devahuti is the second, and Prasuti is the youngest. So why did, first of all, Maitri Muni chose to spoke about Devahuti first? Is an important point to be noted. Then we'll understand why the family life have been discussed here. Prabhupada talked when he was in Gujarat. One well-wisher or host was introducing his family members. He was a grandfather. He said, "These are my kids. These are my sons. These are my daughters. These are the daughter's husband. These are the wives of my son. These are their kids, etc., etc." And Prabhupada turned to his disciple and said, "Oh, well, he's describing his sex life." From a technical point of view, that's what it is, from a Sankhya point of view. So first of all, why did Maitri Muni spoke about Devahuti first? Just because Devahuti gave birth to Lord Kapila. So Maitri Muni wanted to speak about Lord Kapil Dev. So if you see that several chapters are about Lord Kapil Dev's instruction. Devahuti and Kadamuni, there are hardly 2-3 chapters talking about their family life like that. So it was very eager like that. Now the discussion continues here, and in this chapter, largely Akuti and Prasuti, their marriages and their descendants, as well as Devahuti had 9 daughters. We already discussed about Kapil Dev, but what happened to 9 daughters is also described here. So why, you'll see, the marriage of Devahuti's 9 daughters to different sages, born of Brahma, and others are primarily born of Brahma, and then their lineage. Why has it been described? Why Srimad Bhagavatam, whose subject matter is Eta Chamsa Kalapamsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam, Lord Krishna, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. That's how it begins. The subject matter is Krishna. What we got to do about studying about the history? The reason we are studying about the history, and the reason this history is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, the reason Vidurji heard about this history or inquired from Maitri Muni, because in all these lineages, the Supreme Personality Godhead appeared. So what we're going to see through the chapter is all the big chapters, 66 verses, not too long purports. We'll see that in each of the lineage, the Supreme Personality Godhead appeared. Now, question is, why are we talking about Svayambhuva Manu? How many Manus are there in the day of Brahma? There are 1, 4, 14 Manus. If there are 14 Manus, why are we talking about Svayambhuva Manu? Because he's the first Manu. We are in the Vaivasvata Manu. Vaivasvata Manu is son of whom? Vivaswan. 4th chapter, verse number 1, Bhagavad Gita. He's the son of Vivaswan, the sun god, and this is the 7th Manu. We are in the time of 7th Manu. And so history which has been given here is of the first Manu. Now, when you're talking about secondary creation, it cannot begin from 7th Manu. It has to begin from first Manu. Why first Manu? Because at the end of Brahma's day occurs a pralaya. And Brahma's morning program is creation. How fortunate you and I are. Our morning program is chanting. And Brahma's morning program is creation. You remember from the third canto? When he wakes up in the morning hour, he finds himself sitting on a lotus. And his lotus is swaying across the whirlpool, the deluge that has caused by the pralaya that occurred in the night. That occurred in the sense, the whole fire and all that. And then after that, there was a heavy rainfall. And when Brahmaji wakes up, he finds himself in where? Garbhodak Ocean, sitting on the lotus, and the lotus is swaying in a whirlpool. And it's a pitch dark. It is everyday business. How fortunate when you wake up, you remember what you did last night. Brahmaji doesn't remember. And then he will have to sit down for 1,000 years in meditation. He begins meditation after he hears the word sound, tapa. We discuss all this in the Canto. And then he'll sit down and do meditation. And then finally he'll have darshan of the Lord. And then he'll get to know what to do. And then he begins the progeny. Can you imagine what a boring job profile? If you think you're having a boring job profile in your IT company, you have to do the same work day in, day out. You can think about Brahmaji's life. Every day he has to do the same thing, create 14 Manus, fight with demons. I don't think so there's too much variation. Different incarnations do appear like that, but it's more or less the same story for Brahmaji like that. And every time when he does creation, as you saw in the third canto, then Rakshasas are born, some are chasing him, born, the Parshada of Lord Shiva like that. So Svayambhuva Manu being the first Manu, secondary creation, which means at this point of time, this is Brahma Murta time of Brahmaji. And Svayambhuva Manu, I'm just, there's no time limit given, but I'm just estimating it. And Svayambhuva Manu have appeared. And what is the major service of Brahma? Creation. What he has to create? Yeah, he has to provide the bodies to the living entities. That is it. So now he has to facilitate to the living entities, Jivatmas, infinite amount of Jivatmas which are hanging around in a Preta body, get a body. So that's the job profile of Brahmaji. One of the job profile as part of creation. And then Svayambhuva Manu and Satarupa appears. The first sons of Brahmaji were 4 Kumaras, then Rudra, 11 Rudras, and the 10 Manasik Putras. The youngest of them was Narad Muni. And then came Svayambhuva and Shatrupa, Svayambhuva Manu and Shatrupa. There is nothing in the creation right now. Svayambhuva Manu were the first man and woman. And they procreated together 2 sons, Priyavat eldest, Uttanapa second, and 3 daughters, Akuti, Devahuti, Prasuti. And now through them, generations would manifest. You getting it? This is what the whole background is. And this is why we're beginning with Svayambhuva Manu. So Devahuti, 9 daughters, therefore, there is hardly anyone in the creation. So who was there in the creation? The 10 sons of Brahma, of which Narad Muni said, I'm not getting married. But he had been lifelong brahmachari. So the other 9 sages, then they get married to the daughters born from this relationship. Particularly, they get married to the daughters of Devahuti. So that's how you'll see the name of all the sages that you've heard across. Fine. That's a little background. Let's begin with. I'll go through the translation. If there is something to pay attention to, we'll pay attention. Not much purport. Few philosophical points. Well, largely, it's a historical narration. Enjoy that. So we're talking text 2. Akuti had 2 brothers, but in spite of her brothers, King Svayambhuva Manu handed her over to Prajapati Ruchi, on the condition that the son born of her be returned to Manu as his son. This he did in consultation with his wife Satarupa. Sage Ruchi, born of Brahmaji. Now, don't apply the codes of conduct that you and I will have to follow in this creation, brother, sister. They're the first created beings. There's no connection, meaning of brother and sister like that, So Prabhupada said, a translation says, despite Svayambhuva having 2 sons, yet Akuti was given to sage Ruchi. On a condition, the son born of Akuti would be given back to Svayambhuva Manu. Now Prabhupada writes Putrika Dharma in the purport. So in those days, or in the bygone ages, if in case the father doesn't have a son, but have a daughter, then he can put a condition on the daughter's marriage that the son born of the daughter would become my son. In other words, you have to give it back to me. My son means grandson, because the lineage of son is needed. Also, son is needed to continue the dynasty. Therefore, in that way, it can continue. Now, why did Svayambhuva Manu ask for the son when he already had 2 sons? Because he knew the son born of Akuti would be the supreme personality of Godhead. Therefore, Svayambhuva said, give me back. All right. So that's how it begins with text number 3. Ruchi was very powerful in his Brahminical qualification and was appointed one of the progenitors other living entities. Begot one son and one daughter by his wife Akuti, because he got one daughter also, so he didn't felt so sorry about that I would not have any child. He happily gave his son to his father, Svayambhuva Manu. Text number 4. Yastayo Purusha Sakshat Vishnu Yajna Sarupadrak Yastri Sa Dakshina Bhute Amsha Bhutana Payani. So who was born? Yastayo Purusha Sakshat. So who was born to sage Rishi? One son and one daughter. Vishnu Yajna Sarupadrak. So Vishnu was born as Yajna. Yastri Sa Dakshina Bhuter. Bhuter is Lakshmi. So Yastri Sadakshina, and Dakshina was born as Lakshmi. So the two son and daughter was born to sage Ruchi, and Akuti was Yajna and Dakshina. They're nothing but Lakshmi Narayan. Text number 5. Swayambhuva Manu very gladly brought home the beautiful boy named Yajna. And Ruchi, his son-in-law, kept with him the daughter Dakshina. And now descendants of Akuti. Text number 6. The lord of the ritualistic performance, Yajna, later married Dakshina, was anxious to have the Pastime god as a husband. In this way, the lord was very much pleased to beget 12 children. So Yajna and Dakshina had 12 sons. What are the names of 12 sons? Text number 7. Tosha, Pratosha, Santosha, Bhadra Shanti Idaspati, Idamaha Kavi Vibhu, Swahana Sudeva Rochana. Text number 8. During the time of Swayambhuva Manu, these sons all became the demigods collectively named as Tushitas. Tushitas. Marichi became the head of the 7 Rishis, and Yajna became the king of the Devatas. So Yajna Purush, as you say, Bhoktaram, Yajna Tapasam, Sarvaloka. So that is this Yajna, like that. Text number 9. Swayambhuva Manu had 2 sons, Priyavrat and Uttanapa. Both became very powerful kings, and their sons and grandsons spread all over the 3 worlds during that period. So now further descendants of Akuti is not described because generally the descendants are described up to the appearance of Lord Vishnu. If yes, then after that maybe the next descendant will be described, not after that. So that's the point. Text number 10, translation. My dear son, Swayambhuva Manu handed over his very dear daughter Devahuti to Kardama. I have already spoken. Now let me talk to you about her third, about Swayambhuva Manu's third daughter, that is Prasuti. Swayambhuva Manu handed over his daughter Prasuti to the son of Brahma named Daksha. Was also one of the progenitors of the living entities. Descendants of Daksha are spread throughout the 3 worlds. So Daksha, which is mentioned here, and Daksha, which comes in 2nd canto, are 2 different Dakshas. We'll see that Daksha, who begat 60 daughters, and most of the daughters are given to Kashyapa Muni. We'll see that in the 6th canto. That is the second birth of Daksha. The first birth is described here, born of Brahmaji, and then his head is cut off by Lord Shiva, and then he was put on a head of a goat, and after that he got another birth, that was of Daksha, which is mentioned in as a son of who were those forest dwellers? Prachitas, right? I believe, like that. Son of Prachitas, I believe. Anyways, text number 12. So Maitreya Muni says, you have been already informed about the 9 daughters of Kadama Muni, who were handed over to 9 different sages. I shall now describe the descendants of those 9 daughters. Please hear from me. Text number 13. Kadamuni's daughter Kala, that's the first daughter, who was married to Marichi, son of Brahma, gave birth to 2 children, Kashyapa and Purnima. Text number 14. My dear Vidura, of the 2 sons, Kashyapa and Purnima, Purnima begot 3 children, namely Virajaha, Vishwaga, and Devakulya. Of these 3, Devakulya was the water which washed the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead, and which later on transformed into the Ganges of the heavenly planets. So Devakulya becomes the presiding deity of water, or presiding deity of Ganges precisely. Text number 15. So here you'll find a description of many, many devtas, and most of these are quite some position of devta. So there's always a debate about Tetis Koti. Tetis Koti means what? 33 lakh, 33 types, and all that. Prabhupada says, well, 33 lakhs, and that's very much possible. And to be able to understand that, we can just take a look at the amount of governance is required just to maintain a state of Maharashtra. You have Gram Panchayat, you're living in a Gram Panchayat area, then you have PMRD, then you have mayor, or in between, I would have skipped many of those because I don't know much of it about governance. Then, then you have chief minister and so many layers of governance. So why wouldn't this cosmic creation would have it? Then comes Kadam Muni's daughter or Devati's daughter. Anasuya, the second daughter, became the wife of Atri Muni. She gave birth to three very famous sons, Soma, not the Somaras mentioned in the 10th Bhagavad Gita. Soma is another name of moon god. Dattatreya, very famous in Maharashtra. Go to any Ayurvedic clinic, you'll find Dattatreya there. And Durvasa, who were partial representation of Lord Vishnu, Lord Shiva, and Brahma. Soma was partial representation of Brahma, which means moon god is the son of Brahmaji, Dattatreya of Lord Vishnu, and Durvasa of Lord Shiva. Very interesting purport. Prabhupada largely focuses on relationship between Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. Text number 16. After hearing this, Vidura inquired from Maitreya, my dear master, how is it that the three deities, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, who are the creator, maintainer, destroyer, became the offspring of the wife of Atri Muni? So now the story of Atri Muni begins from verses 16 to 33. Text number 17. Maitreya said, when Lord Brahma ordered Atri Muni to create generations after marrying Anasuya, Atri Muni and his wife went to perform severe. So Atri Muni is also son of Brahma. Went to perform severe austerities in the valley of the mountain known as Raksha. In that mountain valley flows a river named Nirvindhya. On the bank of the river are many Ashoka trees and other plants full of Palasha flowers. And there's always a sweet sound of water flowing from a waterfall. The husband and wife reached that beautiful place. If you want to visualize that place, those of you who have come for Himalayan Yatra, you can think of Gangotri, the ashram, where the Gangotri water, the Gangotri river becomes like a waterfall. So you can remember that. Text number 19. There the great sage concentrated his mind by the yogic breathing exercises, controlling all attachment. He remained standing on one leg only, eating nothing but air. Stood there on one leg for 100 years. And what was he doing standing on one leg? He was offering a prayer. May the Lord of the universe, of whom I have taken shelter, kindly be pleased to offer me a son exactly like him. There's a standard prayer you will find in Upanishads. Just like in Ishopanishad, in the end they say, my dear Lord, please remember whatever I have done to you. There is no name for the Lord. Don't specify. The Upanishad verse generally uses Bhagavan as a shabd like that, or Ishvara. Similarly, Atri Muni very well learned it. He said, I have taken a shelter of the Lord of the universe. Kindly be pleased to offer me a son exactly like him. Now, Prabhupada explains in the purport, well, Atri Muni cannot be counted as a pure devotee, although Lord appeared as a son to him. A mild correction. Lord did not appear as a son to Atri Muni because he did not ask for it. He asked for, may I have a son like you? There's a huge difference. He didn't say, my dear Lord, you become my son. If he would have said, my dear Lord, you become my son, then he would be put into the category of pure devotee. But because he wanted a son like the Lord, that becomes a material desire. So he was a pious being. Chaturvida bhajanti mam jana sukritano Arjuna ato tati jigyasu gyanicha bharatasava. So like that, Prabhupada explains in the purport text number 21. While Atri Muni was engaged in the severe austerities, a blazing fire came out of his head by virtue of his breathing exercise. Reminds of another character from Bhagavatam. The fire came out from whose skull? So was that really a fire? Interesting purport, Jiva Goswami says. And that fire was seen by the three principal deities of three worlds. Srila Jiva Goswami explains, what is this fire means? The fire of pranayama means mental satisfaction. And that fire was perceived by a super soul. So not that Hiranyakashipu's, I don't know about Hiranyakashipu, at least here, it's not that Atri Muni's head became like a furnace and the fire was blowing out of his head. And you can go and bake a bread or something on top of his head. It wasn't like that, It was not like a walking furnace. That's not the point here. So the point is, Jiva Goswami says mental satisfaction. A very interesting thing is mentioned now. His situation was observed by Paramatma. And Paramatma sent a notification to Brahma Ji and Lord Shiva. भैया ऐसे ऐसे एक व्यक्ति करने में लगा है, टाइम आ गया है दर्शन देने का. Many times people ask this question, not many times people, many times devotees ask this question. How would I know if my spiritual master is pleased? Well, it is beyond your capacity to know if your spiritual master is pleased or not. But if at least we understand that there is a Paramatma within us, then be assured Paramatma will communicate to the your spiritual master. One thing that I can say with full confidence on one thing that I have at least, nothing is hidden from one's guru. And nothing can be hidden from him. Impossible. It just cannot happen. Everything is known to him by the dint of Paramatma. Particularly those who are in a close connect or communication with the Paramatma, those who can really connect with the Super Soul. So everything is revealed to them from within. So they don't need to really go and hear from others what's happening. Not necessarily they need a report. Of course, I don't want to start imagining our leaders to be Superman now. Not in that way, but this is how it functions, Super Soul. And that's what happened. So who understood first? Paramatma. And then the notification was sent to Lord Shiva and Brahmaji. Now, how notification was sent to them? There was no technology that time. You didn't needed a gross mechanism of WhatsApp notification or app notification. So how did Paramatma send notification to Shiva and Brahma? What technology Vishnu would have used when there was no WhatsApp, no Twitter, not that Vishnu typed a Twitter message, morning update. Let's go and meet at 10 o'clock at Phalanarikana forest. We have a candidate with a furnace burning on his head. We'll go and sprinkle some water to pacify his burning head. So what notification Vishnuji would have sent?
He's sitting in the heart.
He's sitting in the heart. He's sitting in the heart. And these personalities can understand. Text number 22. At that time, the three deities approached the hermitage of Atri Muni. Can you imagine what an instant communication? Meeting time fixed. No waiting for confirmation. How many of you have experienced when you send a message, particularly for a meeting, then you keep looking at, "Arey, kuch reply aaya? Arey, koi reply aaya?" There is no way the communication can be lost, guaranteed. At that time, and very interesting, all three of them, not that all three of them came in the same plane, not that Vishnuji took out his car and went to Brahmaji's house first, asked him to sit in his car, then went to Lord Shiva's tree. He doesn't have a house, sitting underneath a tree, and then told Lord Shiva, okay, get inside the car. We have a 10 o'clock appointment with Atri Muni. All three of them came from their respective places, but three of them entered together in the hermitage of Atri Muni. And not only they entered, interestingly, the notification went worldwide. All the denizens of heavenly planets came. What a communication. Yeah, this is Paramatma level communication. Such as the celestial beauties, the Gandharvas, the Siddhas, Vidyadharas, Nagas. Thus they entered the ashram of the great sage who had become famous by his austerities. Text number 23. The sage was standing on one leg, but as soon as he saw that the three deities appeared before him, he was so pleased to see them all together, despite great difficulty, he approached them on one leg. Text 24. Thereafter, he began to offer prayers to the three deities, who were seated on different carriers, a bull, a swan, and Garuda. Bull is a carrier for whom? Quick, quick, quick. Lord Shiva. Swan and Garuda, no need to ask. The sage offered them his respects by falling down with a stick. Who holds drum in his hand? Who holds Kusha in his hand? And who holds Sudarshan Chakra? By this, he understood who have come. Now, very interesting happens. Okay, done was fine. Text number 25. Atri Muni was greatly pleased to see that the three devas were gracious towards him. His eyes were dazzled by the effulgence of their bodies, and therefore he closed his eyes for the time being. Since the deities were smiling, he could understand that they were pleased with him. Text 26, 27. But since his heart was already attracted by the deities, somehow or other he gathered his senses with folded hands and sweet words. He began to offer praise to the predominating deities of the universe. The great sage Atri said, Came cho, maja macho? All good? Enjoying life? No, not like that. But he asked, I asked for the Ishwaraha. And I thought there is one Ishwara. But why three of you came? There is Atri's doubt. The great sage Atri said, O Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, and Lord Shiva, you have divided yourself into three bodies by accepting the three modes of material nature, as you do in every millennium for the creation, maintenance, and dissolution of the cosmic manifestation. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all of you, and beg to inquire whom of you three I have called by my prayer. मैंने किसको बुलाया भाई? तीनों क्यों आ गए यहाँ पर? Whom did I call? Whom did I call? Like this, the Prabhupada mentioned that Atri Muni had an understanding that there is Jagat Ishwara. And Jagat Ishwara cannot be part of Jagat, because what is the meaning of Jagat Ishwara unless he existed before the Jagat existed? So he understood there is a creator who must have created this universe, but he was not sure who that person is. So he was just saying that the Supreme Lord, Supreme Lord, Supreme Lord, Supreme Lord. I like that. Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh have appeared. Text number 28. I call for the Supreme Personality Godhead, desiring a son like him. I thought of him only. But although he is far beyond the mental speculation of man, all three of you have come here. Kindly let me know how you have come, for I am greatly bewildered about this. Wait, came to मजा मजा क्यों आया भाई? आपको तो बुलाया नहीं? I was calling the Jagat Ishwara. All three of you have come. Text number 29. The great sage Maitreya continued. Upon hearing Atri Muni speaking that way, the three great deities smiled, and they replied in the following sweet words. This is one of its kind of a pastime. The three deities told Atri Muni, Dear Brahmana, you are perfect in your determination. Sat sankalpasya. Therefore, as you have decided, so it will happen. It will not happen otherwise. We are all the same person upon whom you were meditating. Therefore, we have all come to you. Oh, really? Just like all the three deities are one, which means all paths are one. Is there any difference between Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh? Yeah, all are same. Looks like this verse says they all are same. Then Prabhupada takes the effort to explain what is the difference between all three of them. Brahmaji is Jivatma. Lord Shiva is an expansion of Sankarshan, or a transformation of the Lord, who takes the charge of Tamoguna. Brahmaji takes the charge of mode of passion, and Vishnu takes the charge of mode of goodness. However, although Lord Vishnu, or this Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, takes charge of mode of goodness, nothing happens to him. First canto says, Etad Ishanam Ishaya Prakritistopi Tadgune Na Yujjate Sadhatmaste Yatha Buddhis Tadashraya. Here, Avasutta Goswami, I believe he's saying this verse from the first canto. Etad Ishanam Ishaya, very interesting verse. It says, Etad Ishanam Ishaya Tat Prakatisto Api Tadgune. Although the Lord is always in close association with the modes of material nature, na yujjate sadatmaste, yet he is never connected. Yujjata means connect. From yujjate comes yoga word, to connect. Na yujjate sadatmaste, yet he is never connected with the modes of material nature. And not only this, yatha buddha sadashaya, even those who have taken shelter of the Supreme Personality Godhead, although being in a close contact with modes of material nature, even they are beyond the modes. The verse talks about the Lord and the devotee. If the devotee of the Lord, by taking shelter of the Lord, can go beyond the modes of material nature, how can the Lord be under the modes of material nature? That's the point here. Text number 31. You will have sons who will represent a partial manifestation. So he gets a blessing. Text number 32. While the couple looked down, the three deities disappeared from the place after bestowing upon Atri Muni the benediction. And thereafter, the three sons were born to Atri Muni. From Vishnu came Dattatreya, from Shiva came Durvasa, and from Brahmaji came Moon God. Text number 34. So this was a discussion about Atri Muni and Anasuya. Why there was a discussion Atri Muni and Anasuya? Anasuya is whose daughter? Anasuya is whose daughter? Jiva Jago, Jiva Jago, Gaura Chanda Bole. We are talking about Devahuti's 9 daughters now.
Devahuti's daughter.
Anasuya is the second daughter of Devahuti. I know this is a little difficult. So many family names. All right. So let's talk about the third daughter. Angira's wife Shraddha gave birth to 4 daughters. Whose daughter? Devahuti. Her 9 daughters are being described. Angira is son of Brahmaji. He got married to Shraddha. And they both gave birth to 4 daughters named Sinnivalli, Kuhu, Raka. Chacha Chaudhary की याद आ गई. I don't know how many of you read Chacha Chaudhary while growing up. उसमें राका था ना? At least you will remember the name of one of the daughters now. I got you some connection. And Anumati. All right. Text number 35. Besides these 4 daughters, she also had 2 sons. One of them known as Uthathya. Another was a learned scholar, Brahaspati, Bharadwaj Muni, and then Brahaspati, Bharadwaj Muni, and our क्या नाम है Dronacharya. So this is the lineage that goes up. And Brahaspati's father is Angira. Angira's father is Lord Brahma. So this is the lineage of this great Brahmanas. So you remember Mahabharata, Dronacharya? So when Dronacharya was still not willing to give up his body, then who had appeared? Who told क्या कहते हैं ये अपना Dronacharya, enough is enough. You have already committed a big sin by using celestial weapon on the simple infantry. And now it's time for you to die. You should give up attachment. Who was that person who spoke? That was Brahaspati. What is the relation with Brahaspati? Because Brahaspati is the grandfather of Dronacharya, like that. So we discussed about this in Mahabharata. It's very interesting to know connections, because then you understand what lineage they belong to and what happens like that. Text number 36. Pulastya, another son of Brahma, got married to the 4th daughter of Devahuti, Havirbhu. One son of the name begotten his wife, the son of the name of Agastya. I mean, we can talk about a little bit about each of them if you want to do it. It'll become too voluminous. Remember Agastya Muni, sage Agastya? Sarpa. He was the one. Because of that, our क्या नाम है? The ancestor of Pandavas, who went to heaven, because Indradev in the 6th canto the killing of Vratasur, he gets a sin. He goes to Mother Lakshmi's pond. What is that name? Mother Lakshmi's pond in I'm skipping the names. Mount Kailash के पास जो आता है, Mansarovar. So he went and hid in that, and because he was not there for that time being, what's the name of the ancestor? Nahusa. So Nahusa was called in. He was taken from planet Earth over there, and Nahusa, although he was the most saintly man available at that point of time in the creation, but even that man, when given a power, he lost that, and he became attracted to Sachi. And then she went to Brahaspati, said, what do I do? She said, no problem. you tell Nahusa to come and pick you up in a palanquin carried by the sages. And in that have Agastya Muni. Agastya Muni is a little short height. So when Agastya Muni was carrying the palanquin was shaking. And our Nahusa was becoming restless, honeymoon time. So he was very excited for his honeymoon with Sachi. So he said something he said which was similar to Sarpa Sarpa. Quick, 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 maybe Sarpa Sarpa like that. The guest said, all right, Sarpa Sarpa, you become Sarpa. That's how Nahusa fell and became Sarpa. And it was that Sarpa who caught Bhima, almost close to the end of their Vanvas. And then Yudhishthira Maharaj went in search of. And that's the whole story happens there. I'm just adding little spices here, so Of course, you may not remember anything after the end of the chapter, but at least some interest will invoke in your heart to know about these great personalities, and you do your combination. I first of all thought I'll write down everything, the whole lineage. Then I thought I'll leave it for Bhakti Vaibhav course. It'll become too voluminous for me to do right now. I'll not be able to cover the chapter. Okay, so that was about. We're talking about Agastya, right? Which was? 36. Besides him, Pulasya begot another great scientist whose name was Vishrava. Who knows Vishrava? उसको मैं स्वीट प्रसाद दूंगा, वैसे मेरे पे भी है नहीं, यात्रा से आके दूंगा. So who knows Vishrava? Another very famous sage. बाबा तुम लोगों ने कुछ नहीं पढ़ा है. Vishrava, the father of Ravana. Vishrava had two wives. One was a Brahmani wife, for whom he had a son, Kuber. And then here, who's the क्या नाम है अपना दैत्यों के गुरु का? Shukracharya. So knowing that Vishrava is a very great sage, if he had to beget a son, he will become very powerful Rakshasa. And then our party can become strong. So then Shukracharya played a trick, and he sent the daughter of a demon to Vishrava to get married. And from that wife, Ravana, Kumbhakarna, Vibhishan, and Suparka, they were born like that. That's the story goes in Ramayana. So text number 37, Vishrava had two wives. The first was Idavida. Sounds like Idli. South Indian. Idavida, variety of Idli. Anyways, from whom Kuvera, the master of Yakshas, was born, and the next wife was Keshini. And from that came Ravana, Kumbhakarna, Vibhishan. Text number 38. All right. Gati, the fifth daughter of Devahuti, the wife of the sage Pulaha. These all are son of Brahmaji, okay? Gave birth to three sons, Karma Shrestha, Varyan, and Sahishnu. Text number 39. Sixth daughter, Kriya, got married to Kratu. Gave birth to 60,000 sages, named Vala Hilius. All the sages are greatly advanced in spiritual knowledge. You'll get to know what in the later cantos. And the bodies were illuminated by such knowledge. Text number 40. The seventh daughter of Devahuti, Urja, got married to Vashishta. And they gave birth to the celebrated Arunadhati. What is Arunadhati? The constellation, the seven sages. The seven spotlessly great sages, headed by the sage Chitraketu. Have you seen that Arunadhati constellation? It's a very famous constellation. Mostly this is the only available visible to the eye. If you look 1, 2, 3, 4 and 3, उसको हम बच्चों में चार पाई कहा करते थे. हाँ, सप्तऋषि. That is also called, actually is called as Arunadhati constellation. So they gave birth to Arunadhati. Now, when you connect astrology now, it becomes very exciting. Because all these sages went on to become different constellations. And that's how your karma cycle is all dependent on these personalities whose names we are studying. Better you show respect. Huh? Your karma account will get settled a little bit here. Okay. Next, number 41. The names of these great seven sages are Chitraketu, Surochi, Virja, Mitra, Ulbana, Vasu, Bhradyan, and Vyuman. Fine. Text number 42. Eighth daughter of Devahuti, Chitti, She became the wife of the great sage Atharva, gave birth to the same son named Ashwashira by accepting a great vow called the Dinchya. Now, hear about the descendant of sage Bhrigu, who got married to the ninth daughter of Devahuti. Ninth daughter of Devahuti was Khyati. And Bhrigu begot two sons in Khyati, Dhata and Vidhata. Probably these names are very familiar. And one daughter named Shri. Text number 44. The sage Meru had two daughters named Ayati and Niyati, and they got married to Dhata and Vidhata. Ayati and Niyati gave birth to two sons, Markanda and Prana. From Markanda came Markandeya Rishi. Sound familiar? Markanda, sorry, not Markanda. From Markanda came Markandeya Muni. And from Prana came Veda Shira. No, this is, yeah. He was the father of Shukracharya, another very famous saint, sage, Veda Shira. And whose son was Shukracharya. So Shukracharya is whose descendant? Bhrigu Muni. Bhrigu Muni has a great lineage. Huh? By the way, all of us in one way come under his descendants only. I'll tell you how. Markandeya Muni, Bhrigu had two sons, Dhata Vidhata, and they eventually had two sons, Markanda and Prana. Markanda gave birth to Markandeya Rishi, and from Prana we had Vedashira. From Vedashira we got Shukracharya. And I believe this Markandeya Rishi in whose Kashyapa Muni is whose son? I believe it comes to in this Markandeya Muni lineage only. And from Kashyapa Muni got married to the 49 daughters of Daksha, the second Daksha, sixth canto. And from that came all different species of life. Like that. So Bhrigu Muni is a very important character. We are reading about our greatest ancestors. Once upon a time in the history of mankind. Text number 46 and 47. My dear Vidura, the population of the universe was thus increased by the descendants of the sages. Please mark for yourself. We'll verify Kashyapa Muni. As far as I remember, Kashyapa Muni goes back to the lineage of Markandeya Rishi and connected to Bhrigu Muni, like that. My dear Vidura, the population of the universe was thus increased by the descendants of these sages and the daughters of Kadama. Anyone who hears a description of this dynasty with faith will be relieved from all sinful reactions. See, I told you, na, your karmic account will be settled if you give respect to the sages. Another of Manu's daughter known as Prasuti. Now the third daughter will be talked about. Akuti, Prasuti, Devahuti is done. Now Prasuti discussion, text number 48. Prasuti got married to one of the sons of Brahma by the name of Daksha. And they both had 16 daughters. Of these 16 daughters, 13 were given in marriage to Dharma. One daughter was given to Agni. 13 plus 1, 14. 49 and 52. One of the remaining two daughters was given in charity to Pitraloka, where she resides very amicably. And the other was given to Lord Shiva on Brahmaji's requests. The names of the 13 daughters of Daksha who were given to Dharma are Shraddha, Maitri, Daya, Shanti, Tushti, Pushti, Kriya, Unnati, Buddhi, Medha, Titiksha, Hari, and Murti. These 13 daughters produce the following sons. यार ये तुम पढ़ लेना अब यार बहुत सारे नाम हो गए अभी उनके बच्चों के नाम आप पढ़ लेना. I'll read the last line. Murti, a reservoir of all respectful qualities, gave birth to Sri Nara-Narayana. So why all these descendants I mentioned? Finally, to come to the subject matter of Nara-Narayana Rishi. On the occasion of the appearance of Nara-Narayana, the entire world was full of joy. The mind became tranquil and all that. Text number 54 to 55. And the heavenly planets' bands began to play. So in heavens also we have band, but celestial bands, not rock bands. And they showered flowers from the sky. Our devotees can start one, celestial bands. Or Gandharva band, like that. The pacified sages chanted Vedic prayers. Denizens of heaven known as Gandharvas, Kinnara, sang. The beautiful damsels and heavenly planets dance. And in this way, at the time of appearance of Narayan, all signs of good fortune visible. Just at the time, great demigods like Brahma also offered their respectful prayers. How Gandharvas and Kinnaras? Who are Kinnaras? Huh? Gandharvas are that. Who are Kinnaras?
Third gender, Prabhuji.
Huh?
Third gender.
Okay, Kinnaras are third gender. Okay, okay. So how come they're better than human beings? So you read this in the fifth canto. This is Bhuloka. Om Bhur Bhuvaswaha. आगे नहीं बोलूंगा गायत्री मंत्र Okay. So बिना बैठे बैठाए मैं गुरु बन जाऊंगा I know. So Om Bhur Bhuvaswaha. So Bhur is Bhuloka, where we are. Bhuva Swaha. Swaha is, not Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha. So there is a Swargaloka, and there between this Bhuloka and Swargaloka comes Gandharva Loka, Kinnara Loka, and also Preta Loka like that. So there are other planetary systems like this. And of course, of Kuvera. The first probably would be of Kuvera. Yaksha. So Yaksha. So whenever the Lord appears, you see them, all of them dancing like that. They're on the higher dimension than us. Text number 56. On the comment of Kinnaras being the third gender, I need to verify. Okay. Right. Text number 56. The demigod said, let us offer respectful obeisance to the transcendental personality Godhead who created as his external energy this cosmic manifestation which is situated in him as the air and the clouds are situated in the space and who has now appeared in the form of Nara-Narayana Rishi in the house of Dharma. So who have had darshan of Nara-Narayana Rishi? Please raise your hand. How many of you have had darshan of Nara-Narayana Rishi? हाथ खड़ा करो जिसने नर-नारायण ऋषि के दर्शन लिए हैं. Let me see online प्रजा. कितने लोगों ने नर-नारायण ऋषि के दर्शन लिए हैं? So 4 of us here have taken darshan Nara-Narayan. Some of them who are online also taken darshan Nara-Narayan. So Nara-Narayana Rishi in Kali Yuga are present in the form of Nara-Narayan Parvat at Badrinath. So when you go to Badrinath, what is the name? Mandakini, I believe, flows there. So that flows between Narayan Parvat. And Badri Vishal temple is on one of the Parvats, probably Narayan Parvat like that. Okay. So. Narayan Rishi will come later on. We'll discuss that later on. Text number 57. What is Narayan Rishi famous for? Huh? Austerity. What is Narayan Rishi famous for? Urvashi. You remember interesting pastime, huh? Okay, Narayan Rishi is famous for Urvashi. Okay. Uru means thai. Vashi means जो सबको वश में कर ले. So when Urvashi appeared, forget about the Cupid fainting. All the apsaras that Indra had sent, seeing Urvashi, they fainted. Such was the beauty of Urvashi. Let us offer respectful obeisances from distance only. Okay. Okay. For what Narayan Rishi is famous? For their austerities. That was the least answer I expected. But yeah, that's there in Mahabharata. Shastra okay, that comes from Padma Puran. What else?
Krishna and Arjun.
Okay, Krishna and Arjun. Nara-Narayana Rishi. In this creation, if anyone is immune from sex, is Nara-Narayana Rishi. Prabhupada purpose will often. One who cannot be afflicted or affected by sex is Nara-Narayana Rishi. Prabhupada mentions about that in the purpose. Text number 58, where were we? Yeah. Oh, Vidura, does the demigods worship the prayers? With prayers, the Supreme Personality God appearing as a sage Narayan, the Lord glanced upon them with mercy and then departed for Gandhamadana hill. Like that. That Nara-Rishi, who is a partial expansion of Krishna, has now appeared in the dynasties of Yadu and Kuru in the forms of Krishna and Arjuna. So when Bhishma Dev was actually trying to explain क्या नाम है, Dhritarashtra, that's the time he quoted the story of Nara-Narayana Rishi in Mahabharata. And he told Bhishma Dev, hey, क्या नाम है आपका, Dhritarashtra, kindly note this Krishna Arjuna is none other than that same Nara-Narayana Rishi. Text number 60. The predominating deity of fire begot and his wife Swaha 3 children, named Pavaka, Pavamana, and Suchi, who exist by eating the oblations offered to the fire of sacrifice. So these are the sons who accepts your oblations. Text number 61. From those 3 sons, another 45 descendants were generated who are also fire gods. The total number of fire gods becomes 49. 45 plus 3, 48 plus Agni, 49. So in other words, in Ayurveda, they say there are 49 types of Agni. So that's, if you want to go in details, you can go in details and find connections here and there. Text number 62. These 49 fire gods are the beneficiaries of the oblations offered in the Vedic sacrificial fire by impersonalist Brahmanas. Text number 63. The Agnishvatas, the Bharishadas, the Saumyas, and Ajyapas are the Pitas. They're either Sagnika or Niragnika. The wife of all these Pitas is Swadha, who is the daughter of King Daksha. So we are right now talking about Daksha and Prasuti. And they had how many daughters? 16 daughters, of which 13 daughters got married to Dharma. Their descendants are being described, if in case you're wondering, where is my camera? क्या कर रहे हो? हाँ, इतने ध्यान मग्न हो गए तुम, कैमरा ही बंद हो गया, तुम्हें पता नहीं. Descendants are attractive, it means subject matter is attracted to somebody at least. All right, where were we? I forgot what I was talking. Okay, we're coming to the conclusion of chapter. Text number 64. Swada, who was offered to the Pitas, begot 2 children named Vayuna and Dharani, both of whom were impersonalists and were expert in transcendental Vedic knowledge. Impersonalist here doesn't refer to Mayavadis, okay? Text number 65. The 16th daughter, whose name was Sati, the last daughter, was the wife of Lord Shiva. She could not produce a child, although she was always faithfully engaged in the service of her husband. Why she could not produce a child? Because she committed sati before she could reach her menstrual age, as they call it, of procreation. She committed sati. Text number 66. The reason is that Sati's father Daksha used to rebuke Lord Shiva in spite of Shiva's faultlessness. Consequently, before attaining a mature age, Sati gave up her body by dint of yogic mystic power, which means Sati got married to Lord Shiva when she was not even 13 years old, which means, as Ramayana says, Mother Sita got married to Lord Ram when she was, I believe, 5 year or 7 year old. So when Sita came to Ayodhya, I believe 5 or 7, I'm missing that number, was only that much year old. And Ram was around 12 or 13 year old, like that. So this is how marriage used to happen in those days. Like that. So here, Sati got married, but she had not even come of that age where she could procreate. So she didn't have a child. And before that, she committed sati because of the offenses committed by her father Daksha to her husband, Lord Shiva. And she didn't want it to have anything to do with the body that was given by that offender, Daksha. So she felt extremely contaminated. She decided to burn herself. So she committed sati. What is this? And that's how the Daksha and Shiva pastime begins from chapter 2, where Vidurji will ask. The larger conversation is happening between Vidurji and Maitreya, and Vidurji will ask, Vidurvacha Bhave Shilavatam Shrishti Daksho Dhut Vassalaha Vidve Sammakarot Kasmad Anadratyatmajam Satim. Daksha has been called as Dhutar Vassala. I have heard Daksha loved his daughters like anything. Then how come Daksha can allow his youngest daughter, to whom he loved the most, to commit a suicide. Vidya inquired, why was Daksha, who was so affectionate to his daughter, envious of Lord Shiva, who is Bhave Shilavatam Shreshte, who is best among the gentle, and why did he neglect his daughter Sati? And from here will begin a very exciting and a beautiful pastime of conflict between son-in-law and father-in-law. That is not my subject. We'll talk about Lord Shiva's greatness. How Lord Shiva was fully absorbed in remembering Krishna that he didn't even pay attention to what was happening outside, and how Lord Shiva forgave Daksha. And there are a lot of beautiful instructions because now it's Visarga, right? Secondary creation. So now onward, you'll find many practical instructions about living in this world. You'll get to know a lot of things about man-woman relationship, the nature of man, the nature of woman, and this is husband-wife conflict case. Sati had a conflict with Shiva because she was not willing to go to Daksha's sacrifice. Sati said, आज की भाषा में hell with you. उस समय कुछ संस्कृत में बोला होगा. I don't know what she would have said. And she went. So, husband-wife conflict is but natural. That is the nature of this material creation. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki, Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Thank you all for joining in. I'll pause here for today's discussion. I am afraid to ask for a question. What question can you possibly ask on the subject matter? If you ask me a question, then I'll ask you a question. बताओ, दक्षा की 12वीं बेटी का नाम क्या था? If you unnecessarily ask irresponsible question, then I'll ask you a question. बताओ, देवहूति की छठी बेटी का नाम क्या था? Whoever can give me answer, then I'll give an answer to your question. All right, Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Thank you all for joining it. Hare Krishna. We conclude here.